Hey everyone, sorry for being gone for so long. I know we've had some really crazy stuff going on this season. All I can say is that real life has been kicking my ass for the past year. So before I get into some of those heavier episodes, I thought I'd do something a bit more casual and just share some quick thoughts on the episode Triple Threat.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
I boys.
Oh, I'm sorry. You prefer men.
I boys.
You prefer men, right?
I white boys.
White or black?
White boys.
Oh, butt boys?
With big butts.
Oh, of course.
Now on the surface, this is a Spike episode, and yet it's interesting that Spike is actually the weakest character here. And I say that because everyone else's dialogue sounds so natural. It all flows really well. The characters' motivations make sense. They go through a full range of emotions. It all feels really down to earth. And then you get to Spike, and he's just really over the top and cartoony by comparison. Like, whoa, no! I invited Ember and Thorax on the same day! What will I do? And even in the end, when everything's been resolved, he's like, well, gosh, guys, can you ever forgive me? Like, dude, Kathy, tone it down just a bit. And I'm making a big deal about this because everything else here is so good. I want to like Spike too. There have been good Spike episodes before, so it's really bizarre to have an episode like this that's really fantastic otherwise, but then Spike is just being goofy. I get the conflict, I get what he's worried about, and that cutaway scene was awesome, but the performance here just doesn't match the tone with the rest of the episode. But anyway, moving past that, not a great Spike episode, but this was a really great episode for Ember and Thorax. With Ember, I love how even though all the friendship stuff is still kinda weird to her, she's still completely open to trying new things. Kinda missed the point with sharing her feelings at the end, but baby steps. Overall, the writing for her strikes a really good balance where she has this edge and a toughness to her, but without being a total hard-ass. She's assertive, but without really being a bully, and that goes a long way towards making her a character that you actually want to spend more time with. And speaking of assertiveness, I love that explanation and the demonstration that she gives at the end, because that's something you can apply to real life. Because honestly, there are a lot of kids shows where they try to teach something where you can tell that if you tried it in real life, you'd get your ass kicked. But here in this episode, you can learn a lot from Ember just from paying attention to her body language and the tone of her voice. And I think that's one of the reasons why she's such a fan favorite. Also, going along with the running gag in the fandom of characters like Starlight Glimmer and Sunset Shimmer being clones of Twilight to one degree or another, I had a really big laugh at Ember getting Starlight mixed up with Twilight. I thought that was really clever. We also get a bit of confirmation here of Twilight's predictions from Celestial Advice. Starlight does end up liking Ember because of her attitude. Thorax really does have to deal with a rogue group of changelings who don't go along with the new way of doing things. And speaking of which, let's move on to Thorax. Now, to be honest, I didn't really like Thorax all that much from his introduction in Times They Are a Changeling, but he is handled so much better here. It's so much fun to see him get all happy and excited, while at the same time, the sad, doubtful moments are balanced out a bit so you can actually take him more seriously. Unlike Spike, Thorax's low points are toned down so he doesn't become insufferable. I like how Thorax not only addresses the fact that he's not a good leader, but actually tries to do something about it. And I love how even though Ember and Thorax both show up expecting to get advice from Spike, and even though Spike ends up being pretty useless in that regard, they end up getting help from each other instead. The lesson in this episode really gets me on a personal level. See, I used to have a friend named Sean. Sean and I knew each other for about 10 years, and at one point I actually considered him to be my best friend. However, much like Spike in this episode, Sean never wanted me to meet his other friends. Now, at first it was normal enough. He'd say something like, hey man, I can't hang out today. I'm meeting up with some other people I haven't seen in a long time, so I just want to make it a one-on-one thing. But you know what? These guys are really awesome. I really want you to meet them, and I'll bring you along next time, okay? Are we cool? And hey, of course I was cool with that, but then next time would come and it was the same thing all over again, and the same thing the next time after that, and 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 this went on for years. I eventually found out that my best friend was embarrassed to let anyone know that we knew each other. So yeah, when Ember and Thorax team up against Spike at the end, that's such a good moment. Because seriously, dude, are you trying to say there's something wrong with me, or are you just being a dick? And by the way, since I still haven't found out what I supposedly did that was so damn embarrassing, I'm leaning more towards the being a dick theory. But even if there was something wrong with me, and even if you can't tell me what it is for some reason, who's to say one of your other friends might not have the answer? I don't know, just an idea. Or How about you forget all of that and just introduce your friends to each other because it's a normal goddamn thing that people do. And yes, these are all things that I thought about at the time they happened. This is just another case of My Little Pony reflecting part of my own life back at me. And just to be totally clear about this, I also had other friends who I hung out with separate from Sean, but anytime I had the chance to bring him along, I always invited him immediately because that just seemed like the natural thing to do. So for my so-called best friend to get weird about it when it's flipped around, that was sketchy as hell. And look, obviously this isn't the one thing that ended our friendship, but it was definitely a contributing factor because, let's face it, if you've known someone for 10 years and you still can't be honest with each other, I think it's safe to say you're not really friends. In the end, I love this episode. Fuck Spike, but everything else is fantastic. Also, Spike is on the map now and he's qualified to guide airport traffic. That's weird. And the term pony hugs is now canon. See you next time.